So this is a very popular shaft here. This is the Ventus Black 6X. A lot of tour players play either the 6X or the 7X. So this is a low spinning, low launching shaft. It means it's quite stable in the tip section. And I think that stability in the tip is why this is so popular with tour players. They can go after it, they can swing hard, and know that they've got some management of the club face there at the bottom. Oftentimes tour players or faster players don't want to feel the club moving too much in space. They want to feel like this club's able to stay out in front of their hands, so they've got some proprioception, some awareness of where the club is in space, and tagging the information so that we can keep all this data organized. So I'm plugging in that this is the Stealth Plus. This is an 8-degree head. It's at a neutral setting, and we're hitting the Ventus Black 6X. And that way when we hit a bunch of different clubs, we can go back and find exactly which ones were producing what data. So, there's a decent ball. Club speed came down a little bit. Spin jumped up slightly, but it went straight. These connectors are really cool. This allows us to take these heads and combine them with any shaft that has the appropriate tip or sleeve attached to it. So each vendor, they have different sleeves, different attachments. So this is a universal system that we utilize, and allows us to perform a brand agnostic fitting. So I'm going to attach a different one here. I like my numbers. My attack angle is very neutral. It's at 2, which I like. And that spin and launch combination at 13 and 24 is excellent. Yep, so it felt like it was on the toe and it went to the toe. Impact location's more centered, which I like. You can see how the peak height are all very similar. It's also a similar shape. So we're already seeing some progress with this particular setup. And at 274 in the air, I really like that grouping. Pretty good smash factor. Could go up a little bit, but it's reasonable. So really happy with the result. I thought that ball would really curve even more than that. And you know what? That really wasn't that far off. Conclusion, really like the head, surprisingly actually. Despite all these layers of carbon on this new material. So I'm going to try this same head with one more shaft, and then we'll try a different head. One of the amazing things that we have access to is the ability to leverage information through the software. So that Ventus Black does show up, but me personally, I felt like it was just not kicking enough. I need something that's a little more active. Okay, so I'm going to try this Acra. This TZ line of Acras has been really good. This one should be a little more active in the tip section. We'll verify that in a minute. So what's interesting is feel versus real. I really like the way the shaft kicked, but you can see the spin rate jumped way up there. So the total distance suffered by about 15 yards. On to the next one. What we'd want to do is establish a baseline shaft that works and then test the various heads from there. Once we find the head that performs, we will then fine tune with other shaft options. So let's see if this works. That was a heel strike, but spin stayed down. Obviously that ball went straight. The numbers are pretty good. We might have a winner. For me, those are excellent numbers. Efficiency's up. My speed's starting to drop down a little bit, but efficiency went up, ball speed's sufficient. And I'm really happy with those launch and spin numbers, and that land angle at 35 is my target. I want to get that to 35. Draw. Tight draw. Wow, that was amazing. So club head speed jumped up almost to 110. Carry jumped up almost to 280, and you can see how that spin rate stayed down at 1800. It's incredible. I'm looking for max distance here, certainly accuracy. And to bring the spin down sub 2, I would be thrilled with that. Felt good. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Now we know this shaft works. You can see with sustained club speed, efficiency, ball speed's up again. 280 carry, that's my goal. If I can get a club to carry 280, I'm thrilled. Clearly the spin rate stayed down, so that was excellent. Huge difference between this shaft and that last one. All right, so now the exciting test. So again, to reiterate, we know that shaft and that head combination work. Now we're going to try the Rogue Max. So one thing that's interesting is this is almost an apples to apples comparison. The only thing is the Rogue comes in at a 9 degree and the Stealth comes in at an 8 degree. So I would expect these spin numbers to actually go up a little bit just based on the loft. But we'll test at the stock loft here to start. And what we can do is we can actually adjust the loft through the setting here so that we can turn it down to 8 degrees. So this is the new Callaway Rogue Max LS. That last head was the Stealth Plus. By the way, all of these shots are being tested with Titleist Pro V1 and the RCT golf ball, which is radar capture technology. Titleist specifically designed this golf ball for TrackMan. So immediately, Ron, I can feel that this club head's a little lighter, especially up here. Top of my backswing, I could definitely feel less weight here at the head. Thrilled with the numbers. Despite this being a 4 degree loft, launch and spin numbers are really impressive, and that was a good ball to start. So a little surprising, I thought the ball speed would be higher. But despite the ball speed coming down a couple miles an hour, the carry almost got to that speed. So pretty happy with that. You can see how that launched a little higher. The land angle increased all the way to 40.9. As you can see that the dynamic loft really increased, so I probably hit that higher on the face. Really good dispersion so far. And I'll tell you, that's a little surprising that it launched that high and spun that little, despite it being low on the face. So it felt low and left. So jumped up, spin jumped up, curve increased, land angle was up. We'll just compare the data sets between those two. So we've got the Callaway in orange and the Stealth in white. So carry distance, carry was 275.7 and the Stealth carry was 276, so almost identical. However, if we look at total distance, see the Stealth had a little more rollout due to that slightly shallower land angle. So 304 total with the Stealth and 302 total with the Callaway. Now the biggest difference here is going to be the dispersion chart. So if we measure the distance on the furthest left shot with the Stealth, that comes in at, let's call it 20 feet. furthest right, 21 feet. So from left to right, we've got a 40-foot dispersion. At 304 yards, 40 feet is incredible. I would be thrilled with that. Less than 15 yards left to right. I would take that all day. Now if we look at the Callaway, furthest left was 73 feet. And furthest right is about 20. So now we're looking at a 91-foot dispersion. So basically 13 and a half, 14 yards left to right with a Stealth, all the way to 30 yards with the Rogue. Literally doubled the width of the dispersion pattern. So that's why you see a much bigger circle here with the Rogue and a much tighter circle here with the Stealth. That little oval with a Stealth would indicate to me that that club's performing a lot better. It's quite straighter. Not only that, the total distance is a little farther. So I'm a little surprised actually. I've never been a huge fan of the Taylormade stuff just from personal bias, but taking the bias hat off and just testing the data and letting the numbers do the talking, this thing really was quite surprising and really good.